All right, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Not Minding My Own Business. I am Russell Farbiars, your estate planning and elder law attorney here in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And I also want to welcome you to our inaugural in-person, in-studio recording of Not Minding My Own Business. One of our New Year's resolutions here at Antonavage Farbiars is that we are going to be introducing these in-studio interviews as well as our traditional studio recordings over Zoom that you've gotten used to over the past year. So welcome to this inaugural episode, and welcome to my guest, Kim Quanquin. Did I get it even close?
Yeah, Quanquin.
From Sterling Life Solutions.
Sterling Senior Life Solutions.
Close.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
You know, we're sitting here in our studio here, watching all the lights and all this equipment get set up, and you know there were a couple of colorful words exchanged about. But it's definitely a different experience. I'm just used to pressing the record button on Zoom and being ready to go. But we have our producer Joe McCuckey here, and he's been working hard getting all of this set up for us. But welcome, Kim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm my first invitation to an inauguration, so looking at that as a definite goal for 2023. That's been achieved.
Well, I'm glad we can check that off relatively early in the year for you. Maybe there'll be another inauguration. I understand there's one in Harrisburg coming up. Maybe you'll get an invitation from Mr. Shapiro.
Perhaps.
So Kim, tell me a little bit about Sterling.
Okay, so Sterling Senior Life Solutions is a senior move management company. Our mission, and I'm going to speak verbatim because it's really important that we stick to our mission as every business. Our mission is actually to create and deliver an unparalleled experience worth sharing in the senior move management and the age-in-place living industry. Senior move management is not that new. However, the way Sterling does senior move management is very different. So I'm really excited to be able to share the nuances, where we feel our niche is in helping seniors transition. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I am looking forward to hearing all the nuances that Sterling offers. Now, you used a couple of phrases there. One is age in place, and I think this is a phrase that those of us who work in the senior or the elder community hear a lot. But can you explain what exactly do you mean when you say age in place?
Sure. So, we're all very unique individuals, correct? And part of what the senior move management industry is that sets us apart is recognizing the total person and the total experience. So not every person desires to move out of their home as they age. It could be for socioeconomic reasons. It could be because they are physically still able to do most things in their home without assistance. Strong emotional ties, right? Sometimes when a senior transitions, if you take them out of an environment that they've known their whole life, depression can tend to set in. So the age in place category in particular is how do we help collaborate with those businesses as well as the in-house services that we provide in the way of perhaps doing ramps, maybe moving the shower or the bath to the first floor. Do they need occupational therapy to come in, which is where we would contract with outside rehabs? There's so many moving parts as to what that person would need. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, we need a lawn person or snow removal. So again, it's very customer centric. Mm-hmm. And it's our goal to make the best evaluation that we can with the client and with the client's family members.
So what it sounds like is that you're going to get together with with your client, and this is not a cookie cutter product. This is very much we're going to create a plan that works for you, but it's not going to be the same as the plan that your neighbor has. It's going to be the plan that's for you. Can you talk a little bit about your process and how that goes?
Absolutely. And that is very true as well, when we're moving a client. What type of community suits them? Do they want a community where there's activity 24/7? I know we had one client in particular who just wanted a quiet little space because that's what she was used to. So those different amenities in the community were not important to her. But getting back to your question, as far as, not being cookie cutter, we will either be called by the client themselves or by the client's family member, or maybe some geriatric specialists that are seeing some decline for folks that don't have family. So there's a bunch of different ways that we will be contacted. What we do at that point then is we set up a initial consultation free of charge, and we do pretty much a comprehensive intake, keeping in mind, again, what are the emotional, physical, mental needs that client has, and respecting and honoring that. Ageism is a term that's used on the fly, but really it is honoring that aging isn't just one size fits all either. You have people that are living their best life in the latter years because they have the freedom to do it. Mm-hmm. They've raised their family, they've saved so that they have the ability to come and go as they choose. And then you have others that are looking at it as, this is just the slow boat and I'm good just with the slow and steady.
Yeah, it's true that everyone sees aging differently. But the reality is that as a society, we're getting older because we're living longer. So it's important to be able to plan for that. Now, you said that there are, certain nuances, and what I'm already hearing from you is that Sterling is not just a moving company.
Correct.
Sterling is a lot more than that. So can you talk a little bit more in depth about some of the other services that Sterling provides other than moving?
Absolutely. So when I joined the company, one of the first things that I noticed, I started as a consultant and moved into business development. And honestly, the consultant was the best place to start because that is the core of your business. Mm-hmm. Like when you are connecting with that family that may be going through some really difficult times, and you've got to stay in that space of, I'm here, I'm grounded, and I'm going to walk you through this process. You really start to understand what Sterling is about. So the first thing that I noticed on the first move that I was on is the calmness and clarity that the moving team had. There was no throwing stuff on a truck. There was no not wrapping it. There was no, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And that is so important because it's at such a tender time in that person's life. So to be able to, I call it, hold the space for that client and let them know that it's going to be okay. And, we have a very jovial consultant as well who he has the ability to just lighten every situation. And I see how that has really served Sterling. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely about the players that we have, and I use that term players very loosely, that we have in place within the organization that are just the perfect fit for what that client needs.
Now, in addition, obviously Sterling is a moving company as well. So can you talk a little bit about what makes you different than, some of the other moving companies that are out there?
I would say the biggest thing is our ability to plan. We are looking at every angle of this move. Will the client be there? How will the client react if they are there? Originally we thought it was not in the client's best interest to be there. But as we've evolved, we realized that if you are client-centric and the family wants to be there as they're going through things, does it create a little bit of a challenge for us? Absolutely. But that's, again, what sets Sterling apart. because we have to learn how to bob and weave with what is in the best interest of the family and the client. And that is always at the forefront.
So I'm sure you have a lot of situations where you're helping a family with a move, and the senior is probably not happy about the move, or at least a little melancholy about it. What do you do to try to ease their concerns, or try to make it easier for them as they transition to the next stage?
I think two things. Again, the levity of the situation, which is in no way disrespecting, but keeping it lighthearted. The dialogue with them about, what a great community they're moving into, because we've moved other clients there. We really have good relationships with the communities, so we can even share things that they may not even know happen within that community. It's also being very mindful of respecting that they may need that space to just kind of sit and reflect, and we don't need to be in their space. It is a letting go process for them. So it's really being very in tune with the senior and what their needs are. And that is, again, one of the huge differences between Sterling and a traditional senior move management company that is concerned only with the moving. And to be a part of NASM, which we haven't gotten into yet, but that's the National Association of Senior Move Management, you have to have this understanding of what it means and what it looks like to work with a senior, both from a health standpoint, there may be hearing issues, to the emotional ramifications.
That makes sense, and there definitely are hearing issues. I work with a lot of the same clientele, and sometimes one of my favorite anecdotes is I left my hearing aids at home, or I don't have my hearing aid on today. But I make light of it, but the reality is that it's because hearing aids are uncomfortable and they reverberate, and they're not a perfect science by any means. So I understand, but it's always somewhat comical when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they really can't hear every word that you're saying. And so it is important that you're trained and know how to do that, because you don't want to make the person feel badly or feel like they're missing anything. You want to make sure you include them in the conversation. It sounds like that's exactly what you do. Now, what is the origin story behind Sterling? How did this come to be?
It was a very personal situation for our owner. He had gone through the loss of a loved one and realized just the tremendous amount of work that needed to be done in cleaning out the estate. It was also an awareness through a friend of, the senior communities and what they can offer to those that don't have families, and how do we become extended family of those that don't. So there was various paths that led to the creation, as with all, really innovative businesses. There wasn't just that one touch point.
Right.
There was a multitude of, I call them synchronicities, that it was kind of showing the way. Mm-hmm. And from there, it's just continued to grow and flourish in the most amazing of ways, really.
So, and what's your owner's name again?
Matt.
Mm-hmm. And I know Matt as you know, and he's very passionate about the work that Sterling does, and I can see why that is. Now it sounds like he understands which I understand from administering estates, is that there are so many moving pieces, and so it sounds like Sterling sort of steps in to sort of help manage some of those pieces, because like you said, you're not just moving people. It sounds like you're also helping them decide where to move. What sort of services do you provide in that area?
So, transitioning in general, right? Again, we deal with several communities. I'm always out networking. I'm always out seeing what does this community have to offer? How can we collaborate? So that's a big piece. Most times, I will say, the client has already decided. Although we are growing the business to get in front of this process. With estate attorneys, with financial planners, with real estate agents. So again, most times, right, currently we are assisting them to move into communities that they have already felt have been the best fit for them.
Okay. Now, I won't ask you which is the best in Berks County because that's not a fair question to ask. But is it mostly nursing facilities or is it assisted livings that you're helping people move into?
It's pretty much a mixed bag, actually, and there is a lot of independent living that's going on. So again, the whole concept of, oh, this has to happen because the person isn't well. I mean, some of our best clients are those that are just like, we've kind of checked out of owning our own home, and they're looking at it really as the next spa experience. And we've had great stories that we've connected. Some of our reviews, we have a video review from one couple that we moved. We had a blast with them because they were so excited and they were so funny, like, just get rid of this junk. We don't even care. Like, we're moving on. So it's really, it's the stereotype of what you think it is really quite different. We also have done some internal moves where there was a decline in cognitive function, and we had originally moved them into assisted living, and they needed to be placed in memory care, and the family had come to terms with that. And we've been really honored to have that. Repeat business is such a shallow term, but to be able to have that familial relationship with them, to say, hey, they helped us the first time, let's do it again. And that's really an honor for us.
Oh, it absolutely is. Whenever you have someone who comes back to you a second time, you must have done a good job the first time, or they wouldn't be back. But it is sad because they're back because there's been a decline, and that can be challenging to manage as well. Now, what is something that you would say is surprising that you've learned as you're in this industry?
I think the level of inspiration that I have gained. One of my first consults, he was a 93-year-old retired engineer. And I went in there, thinking that I was, the consultant, and I was going to, be able to help them put the ducks in a row. He pulled out this spreadsheet, and I was just so impressed. I was truly so impressed. And we actually ended up turning that loose document into an internal document that we now use. And I think that level of inspiration for me, as I'm aging, to know that at 93, this gentleman was just handling it all and was so on top of it. I've really taken a big piece of that with me.
Yeah, it's kind of neat when you get to meet so many people of really varying generations, and really, I have had plenty of older clients who they're quite funny, and they're quite, and they're, in their own way, and you really enjoy working with them, and then you're sad when they pass away, even though you know that it's coming, but you're sad even though you're not close with them, but you recently I was closing out an estate for a family, and I said to the family, I said, your dad had quite a sense of humor, and I kind of was sad that he was gone, even though I hadn't seen him for years. And so it's nice to really meet so many different people. Now, Kim, tell me a little bit, just a little bit about you. What do you like to do when you aren't working? And working is not an answer.
Are you sure?
Otherwise, before we started, Kim was demonstrating her abilities at yodeling. I can ask you to yodel too.
No.
But I told you I wouldn't do that.
That's not in the Sterling contract.
Matt, if you're listening, we need to add something to the contract.
I have such a diverse group of interests. I really do. I am really probably at my core very intrigued by the human psyche and the human experience. How do we become the best version of ourselves, and what does that look like? So I would say if anything, that would probably, I love to walk. I find long walks and hiking so therapeutic and meditative, especially, in the industry that we are in, where you do encounter that sadness. And I always say, don't be sad. I believe there's a quote, don't be sad that it's over, be glad that it happened.
That's right.
And that really helps me kind of reframe all the beautiful people that I've been able to meet. And the 93-year-old gentleman actually did pass away not too long ago. And there was definitely a sadness there, but it was like, wow, I got to meet him. And he literally was on top of it, all the way through. And again, just serves as inspiration.
Yeah. And what I also hear is gratitude.
Absolutely.
Rather than being sad that something's over, being grateful that you got to experience it, even for the short time that you got to experience it. And that's so important, is just sitting with that gratitude and realize, I think that in this go society that we have, we're so quick to gloss over gratitude. And if we've learned anything over the last 3+ years, I think it's that we need a little bit more gratitude in our lives.
I could not agree with you more. You almost want to bring me to tears on that, because, the fragility of life and how quickly it can be taken. It makes you respect the breath. Yeah. For lack of a better way of expressing it. It humbles you. That was it a bad day, or was it an opportunity for me to grow?
Now, Kim, is there something about your industry that the average person isn't aware of that you think they should be aware of?
I think the depth and breadth of what we do, really. There is nothing that we will not find an answer for you, literally. We go to all lengths to make sure that the client has what they need when we walk out the door. We stay in contact with the family. Just real quick, there was a gentleman, we did many phases of work for him, moving him into storage, moving him out of storage, moving him into community, setting up his television for him, cleaning the old house. And we got a call that he was hoping to have his couch shampooed. So we said, you know what? Yes. And we did it. So he has definitely become a family member of the Sterling family, which is how we want all the people that we engage with to feel.
Absolutely. You want to create that relationship and work with them and meet them where they are. But well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me here today on Not Minding My Own Business. If any of our listeners are looking to reach out to Sterling, what is the best way to do that?
I would say you can go to our website and explore, first and foremost, and educate it. It gives you a great education. From that point, there is a request online that you can make. You can feel free to call me at 484-220-5089, and I will put you in contact with our executive director. She can do your client intake over the phone if it's not something you feel comfortable doing on the computer. And that's probably the best way to reach us. We are on social media as well. We do blogs. I think we share a lot of great content in our blogs. We do a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for. So if you check us out at Sterling Life Solutions.
Is that sterlinglifesolutions.com?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you again, Kim, for being here on Not Minding My Own Business.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.